Hey, Undisputed listeners. Before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it. Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft, here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we?
It's a great day in Lakerland.
I was going to say.
It's a great day in Lakerland.
Yeah, because opening night, we got Clippers versus Lakers, and somebody is going to spoil somebody else's ring party that night.
Skip.
Just be careful.
Skip. How do you spoil somebody? I don't care. If I'm getting married, I don't care what somebody does. You can't ruin that day. You can't ruin it. You can argue. You don't do it. I hate her. I hate his family. It doesn't matter. Me and her, we together forever.
You can take the L on opening night.
Just watch that thing come down from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. The first thing I said to Shannon as we were walking to the set, it's a good day to be a Lakers fan, and he's going to be feeling it all day because the king is staying in L.A. The Lakers signed LeBron James to a 2-year, $85 million extension, which means LeBron won't be a free agent again until 2023. And in addition, just this morning, the Lakers are finalizing a 5-year, $190 million deal to keep Anthony Davis in the Laker uniform as well. So, Shannon, was the LeBron extension a smart move for the Lakers?
Absolutely. And Skip, the one thing that I think around the league and is without a doubt, without question, is that the Lakers take care of their great players. And this is why you have a lot of the all-time greats coming to play for the Lakers. It started with Wilt. That started with another team and came here. Kareem, Shaq, now LeBron. And in between, you had Bob McAdoo, you had Michael Thompson. Some of the historically great players have chosen to play for the Lakers, although they weren't drafted by the Lakers, because these are the things that they do. And this is the same thing that they did with Kobe. Skip, you remember his last 2 years? I think he signed a 2-year extension for $48 million. And people like, oh, my God, why would he do that? They say, for everything that Kobe's done for us, this is the least we can do. But, Skip, when you look at LeBron and what he's been able to do and how he's been able to stave off Father Time and how he's been able to avoid the injury bug, with the exception of a year and a half ago, that groin injury, he's been relatively healthy. He hadn't had the joint and the muscle injuries that a lot of people have had, a lot of players have suffered, even later in their career. So, for me, Skip, this was a no-brainer. LeBron said that when he came to the Lakers, this was the last stop before Cucamonga. In other words, Skip, this is the train stopping in Lakerland. It ain't going nowhere.
Where's Cucamonga?
You know where it is, right here. I don't exactly know what Cucamonga is, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure LeBron is headed there either.
But Skip, look, at the end of this contract, LeBron will be 39 years of age, and I think at that point in time, he'll probably be the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, and then he'll weigh his options. Okay, what do I do now? Where do I want to go? Do I want to continue to play? How am I playing? Because I think it's hard, Skip, when you've been a great player like LeBron for such a long time, can you see yourself averaging 10, 15 points a game? I don't see that for him, and that's one of the things Kobe said, like, man, I can't go, hey, I'm done. I can't be averaging 17 one night. Yeah, I can have the occasional 30-point, have the occasional game where y'all remember the man, that's Kobe. But so for me, Skip, I think it's a no-brainer that they went ahead and did this because, like, the fourth year was an option. You tear the option up, you go ahead and guarantee it. So $85 million, that's a small little consolation, Skip. What is LeBron James? What is LeBron James actually worth?
Wow.
Skip, let me ask you a question. If you would pay a man $40 million, what is he actually worth? Because you're not turning, hey, you're not losing any money. That's the one thing I know about in business. You ain't trying to lose no money. So if you give a man $40 million, that means you turning a profit somehow, some way. Now, when you start getting these people back in these buildings, the vaccine's about to come out. They're going to be able to put people back in these buildings. Staples sold out again all the time. So for the next 3 years, guess what?
No, you're counting.
We got coming up, yeah. Yeah.
There's a guy in Brooklyn who might have something to say about that.
What about, well, we got something to say about it, too.
Okay, my turn. I was shocked by this announcement.
Shocked that they did it or he did it? LeBron?
That he did it.
Oh, okay.
All of a sudden, it's the beginning of the end to me. All of a sudden, I see LeBron's exit strategy, and truly, from my heart, it made me a little sad because it looked like you can see the end of the tunnel. You can see that he opted for security. He now has 3 years of high-paid security, and it felt like the beginning of the end, that as he approaches 40, he's going to be done with this. And he wants to end it here as a Laker. Don't have any issue with that, for sure.
Yeah.
But even Brian Windhorst, who's covered his career for years on ESPN, said this morning, or it's the Overnight Sports Center, that he was very surprised because LeBron opted for security. Remember, after this coming year, he could have gone free agent again.
And do what? And go where?
I don't know. I mean, you could go to the highest bidder. You could join forces with somebody else elsewhere.
Are you happy? If you're happy there, going to the highest bidder doesn't make any sense. If I'm happy here, Skip.
Okay, or you can squeeze the Lakers just a little bit harder if you want to do that. And again, he got great money. He got huge money, but he could have pushed a little harder, just a little harder if he'd wanted to.
What?
But then you have to play the field. And it just looked like, I'm good. This is where I want to go. And he is on pace, I'm going to knock on wood for him, given health, to, as you point out, to become the all-time leading scorer in that final year of this deal.
Correct.
It's probably going to take that.
Yeah.
And again, it's definitely going to take it because health is going to become an increasing issue for him as he approaches 40.
Well, and plus the fact, Skip, you know, you missed, what, 15, 20 games. This year they cut down. You cut down another 10 games. So you
never know.
You're running out of games here.
Okay, I got it. So it was shocking to me to sit back and think, man, what would the NBA world be without LeBron James? I always tell you, he's the most interesting man in the world. How many words have we spoken, excuse me, about LeBron James on this show since we started in 2016? 9 million.
Yeah.
Because it's always something with LeBron. Even win, lose, or draw, sometimes the outcome of his games don't matter because there's always a subplot.
A storyline there.
There's always a sideshow going on in LeBron's life somewhere. It's either soap opera or it's just legitimate big news that seems to swirl around him. That's not always his doing. He's just one of those guys who was born hot. You know, like there's always... He has a force field around him that creates a dynamic of stories. And man, if he does go away, if he segues into a second career and he's got all kinds of options in a second career, it's going to be hard for the NBA to live back up to the legacy that he will leave just in storylines, in marquee value, because... Man, well, I just talked about opening night Clippers. Well, what do I want to watch? I want to watch LeBron versus the Clippers. I want to watch LeBron versus Luka. It's the showcase game
Christmas.
At what time? It would be like 8 p.m. Eastern, I think it is, right around there, on Christmas evening, okay? He is the biggest draw in the league, right? And to me, even our Commissioner Silver had to sit back yesterday and think, gee, could that be the beginning of the end? Is he now mapped out? Do we now see the light at the end of his tunnel into his second career?
Well, Skip, I think the thing is that when you look at it, it's like, okay, obviously when you get to this stage, you take it one year at a time. But LeBron is saying, okay, if they're willing to do this and give me the security, sure, I could probably hit the market. I could opt out after this season, even if I didn't win the championship, and probably go somebody, Skip, because of what he generates. As you mentioned, the buzz around him, the building's going to be packed. So he's going to pay that off no matter what you pay him. He's going to pay that off in attendance alone, let alone all the jersey and all this, the ad sales that come along with LeBron being on your team. But I think for me, LeBron James has made it abundantly clear when he signed here, he said, I wanted to be a Laker. I got everything else out of my way, Skip. I did the Heat thing, won 2 titles. I went back to Cleveland. I brought a championship to my hometown. So now this is about LeBron James and my ultimate happiness. Okay, Savannah, you cool? We're going to the West Coast. I know, we've never lived on the West Coast. And we're going to be far away from your mom and dad and some of your, but are you cool with this?
Yep.
Hey, baby, go be happy. Where he says this is it. So, but this is what I want to know. Now, Skip Bayless has always told me, he's surprised that LeBron should go to the highest bidder. But when LeBron said that he was never going to play for less than max money, you criticized him and said Tom Brady always takes less so you can put players around him. Now you're saying he should have held out and went to the highest bidder.
No, I mean, that's just been his strategy. That would be, if you're going on, speaking of Tom Brady, would I be surprised if LeBron wanted to play till he's 43, 44, 40? I would not at all. And again, given his Iron Man stature, given his health this past year, given that he looked revitalized, re-energized, almost got younger looking and playing this past year, why wouldn't he be thinking about 45?
Let's get, first of all, by the time LeBron is about to turn 36, by the time LeBron gets to be 43, that's 7 more years. That's 25 years. Well, that's another. That's longer.
Okay,
that's 3 years longer than Robert Parrish.
Okay, Tom Brady is still going strong at 43.
But here's the thing: Tom Brady does not play what I would say a skill position: running back, wide receiver,
Obviously
tight end.
So, but you do get hit.
Yeah.
You did get hit by the Kansas City Chiefs about 15 times the other day.
But Skip, if you look at it, guys like Robert Parrish playing 21, 22 years, Kareem playing 20. You know, it's different on the body.
You always tell me how freakish this man is. So would you be shocked? I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I would be beyond shocked if LeBron.
Okay.
I would be shocked if he played past 21 years.
Okay, so I appreciate you opening my pet peeve door, because I do have an issue with this, and I've never understood it. And what would have really pleased me yesterday is if they had announced an extension in which LeBron received for his final 2 years in L.A. $20 million and $20 million.
Man, you crazy.
Instead of 40, what is it, up to 44? It goes 40,
41 and
44.
Yeah.
Right? So there is this thing called a salary cap.
Yes.
It's a little softer in basketball, but there is an end to it.
Right.
You can't go past X, right?
Yeah.
So why, if you have constantly through your career complained about, I don't have enough help, we're top heavy as you know what, back in his final stay in Cleveland, then why wouldn't you do what several of the greats have done in their career, which is to beat the cap, to beat the system? I make enough money off the field. I've made enough in my career. I'll take half of what I'm worth. Look, I agree with your premise. If there were no cap in this sport, if this were baseball, he's worth $100 million just in box office cachet. I mean, he's a lightning rod draw. Some people don't like him. Some people love him. Everybody watches him. So he's worth the money, but there's a cap.
Okay.
And the players have accepted the cap for years.
The Lakers don't seem to have a problem with it.
With what?
The cap and paying LeBron and paying AD max money.
Okay, well, that's because he demands.
He didn't, Skip.
He's in the catbird seat. He could say,
You can
know
say
what?
no.
Okay, well, can you maximize your help when you're taking 41 and 44 million in those final 2
The
years?
Lakers could have said, no, we're not going to do the deal.
So now you have 2 max players.
Hold on, time out, Skip. So how many does the Nets have?
I don't care about the Nets. I don't care about anybody else. I care about this team.
Exactly, and
because
this is the championship
could max it out. What is the most important thing remaining on his docket, on his agenda?
He's there.
No, to win championships.
Yes.
Yes, you need to get to 6, right?
Okay.
Because then you could make a case. I'm 6-6 and he was 6-0.
Let me ask you a question. How do you know that he can't still get to 6 with max money?
Well, maybe you can, but I got to tell you, I'd like your chances a whole lot more if you maximized the rest of the team the way my man Tim Duncan always did.
Yeah.
Look at what Tim Duncan did in his final 1, 2, 3, 4 years. Look at this. As they're winning championship, they should have won 2 in those last 4 years, but Ray Allen cost them 1, that fateful night, Game 6 at Miami. But here's Tim Duncan, the greatest power forward ever, a man who deserved max money beyond just about anybody else in that era who was playing. And this is 2012, 2013. He makes $9.6 million. 9.6? Then he goes all the way to 10.3, and finishes his final year at 6.0 million. What? Look, so LeBron's 41 and 44 in his last 2 years, and Duncan totaled in his last 2 years. Let's just take those. He totaled $16.3 million. LeBron's going to total $85 million. And he did it he just publicly admitted, I did it so that we could stock our bench. So I had all the help that we could squeeze under our cap. And remember what they did to LeBron's Heat in 2014? They shot him out of the gym. They beat him in 5 games by a record finals margin because they rained threes because they had a much better bench.
And guess what? And LeBron was not making max money, and they still lost the championship, even though he wasn't making
a lot.
No, see, no. A lot is not max money. So he says I can not only win the championship,
was he making $10 million or $6 million?
Skip, hold on. All I'm saying is LeBron was a free agent. He took less money, so he, Chris Bosh, and D-Wade could all play together. And in the process of them taking less money, LeBron still lost. So there is no guarantee if I take max money or I take less than max that I'm going to win. So with that being the case, I'm going to take max money. I don't tell anybody, well, this is what you should do, because there are a lot of people that we never ask these CEOs to take less money. We never ask a lot of people to take CEOs.
They don't play for championships.
Yeah, they do.
Well, they don't. There's not an actual championship to win. What's your priority? Is it to make money or win titles? You can say both, 50-50?
Exactly.
Okay.
Look, I'm trying to make if you play a professional sport, 2 things should be abundantly clear. You play for money, you play for memories. And I'm trying to get as many as I can of both.
Well, that's 50-50.
Okay,
so one is going to undercut the other.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a question. When Michael Jordan took $30 million each of his last 2 years, why didn't you ask him to take a pay cut? Why did he take less money?
You know what Michael Jordan made?
No, I skip.
For his whole career,
he
made $93 million total. Wait a second, just to keep this in perspective, $93 million total for his entire career. LeBron is on pace now to make $433 million.
Skip.
What?
Skip, you know inflation. Things have changed now. Hell, you could buy a Cadillac for $3,000. Can you buy a Cadillac now for $3 grand? No, you can't. Things have changed. Come on, Skip.
But Michael Jordan won his first 3 championships, making a grand total over those 3 years of $9.8 million. He's making 3-something million. I know it was a long time ago, but still, he finally got paid reasonable money because he was worth $100 million in 1998. That's what kind of draw he was. He made 30 and 33 in his last 2, and he was still underpaid.
Think about this, Skip. There are guys now. Mr. B purchased the Broncos for $68 million. He paid John Elway $65 million over his 16 years career. There are guys getting $60, $70, $80 million in signing bonus. Skip, things are different now. The money is different now. Inflation. So we can't say because, okay, that guy made this much, he can only make that. Just imagine what a guy like LT, a guy like Montana, a guy like Elway, what would they make now if they were playing now? Okay. But that was different.
Well, let's talk now in your sport, the National Football League. Let's talk about the greatest player who's ever played in your league, the greatest quarterback ever, Tom Brady. Let's look at what he's done. He's made chicken feed his whole career. And then let's just go lately as he won his championships. Let's start in 2014 when they came back on the Legion of Boom in the 4th quarter to win that game. You could argue how it ended, but Tom Brady was extraordinary in the 4th quarter. He made $19 million that year. That's chicken feed.
Hold on, Skip. You said $19 million in 2014 was not chicken feed.
Well, it was compared to what a lot of others were making. So then it goes, the next year he took $13 million. And then as they pulled off the comeback for the ages against the Atlanta Falcons 2016 season, he made $14.7 million. That probably put him middle of the pack in quarterback money. Then the next year, 2017, when he sets the all-time playoff record with 505 yards passing in the Super Bowl, he made 15. Then 15 again in 2018 when they beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. This is average money at best. And then 2019, he escalated all the way to 23. And this year, he took $25 million to go to Tampa. This is the greatest quarterback ever.
So that's the only way to do it. So whatever Tom Brady, that's the only way to do it. Nobody else can do it. So what about the way Mahomes?
Why did he do it? It was to maximize his supporting cast. He always made that clear. I want to maximize my ability to win rings.
But you said you didn't know what Bill Belichick, you said they didn't have any cap money, so you didn't know what Bill Belichick was spending it. So what?
Well, Tom can't spend the money. He can only make it available. So he made it available to Belichick. To me, I am lost. The biggest mystery to me, maybe in your sport, is where did all the cap money go? Because Tom gave him a ton of cap money.
Well, look, the way I look at it is like this. If LeBron James says, this is what I'm worth, somebody pay me what I'm worth, and I'm going to do. Skip, he's not taking half, he's not giving you half effort. He's not giving you half play. Pay me for what I'm worth. And what the Lakers deemed his value to be over the last 2 years, is $85 million.
If
I'm
he'd taken
cool with
20 and 20, would it have helped his chances to win more championships?
No.
No?
No.
So if they had an extra $25 million to play with under the cap, you couldn't add an 8th man or a 9th man who would be much better than the 8th or 9th that you're going to wind up with?
Skip, I can assure you, Rob Pelinka has looked all around, and he tried to add, and I'm sure he's run about AD, waited as long. That's why AD probably waited as long as he did. And LeBron was waiting. Okay, what can we add? Could we add a piece? Could we add a piece there? Well, it doesn't look like we're going to be able to add a piece, so boom, we're going to move forward with what we have. Skip.
It also would have been such great PR to say, you know what? I'm just taking less money so we can win titles.
Yeah. No, Skip. But let me ask you a question. I take less money. Is there any guarantee that we're going to win a title if I take less money?
No, but there's a guarantee you're going to have a better chance.
No, ain't no bet. Skip. LeBron was on max money last year. AD was on max money last year. They won the title. Hold up. Paul George was on max money. Kawhi Leonard's on max money. They didn't. There are no guarantees in sport. That's why we love sports so much, because they are none. And we got to stop this notion. You need to really stop this notion, Skip. Tom Brady is not the only way to do things. Well, because Tom did it like this, everybody else, Tom can do whatever he likes. But just because
he's just the GOAT, so that's one way to do it.
Well, Floyd Mayweather did it his way. A lot of other people have promoters. Floyd Mayweather say, I'm going to charge my own play.
No cap.
But he can do it his way, Skip.
It's a solo sport.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Skip, at the end of the day, LeBron Inc. LeBron is an entity in and of himself.
Sure.
And my job is to make as much money as I possibly can, have as many memories as I possibly can. So right now, I got a lot of good memories, and I've made a ton of money. Continue to do that. So, but because Tom Brady does what he does. LeBron James don't live his life on what Tom did.
Okay, don't come to me with we don't have enough help.
Oh, no,
okay?
Don't come to me talk about no asterisk when we win another title. Because
there's a big one on the one
exactly.
you just won.
We got it.
Yeah.
Got that.
You need another
Go
bubble.
get another one.
Maybe they'll have to go bubble again.
It doesn't matter. Guess what? 20 years from now, won't nobody remember. All they remember them rings and things. Do you remember, Skip?
I won't forget.
Oh, 99 was a strike-shortened year.
Yep.
Do you remember that, Skip? Guess what? Tim Duncan then won the title. Is there asterisk by it? In 2012, the Heat won the title. Asterisk by it? I think not.
Tim Duncan should have been 5-0 in finals.
Skip, I don't know what he should have been.
Yeah.
I don't know what he should have been. I know what he is. I know what he is.
Yep.
Skip, normally when people on a joyous occasion, congratulations. Thank you. Oh, man, that's not what you're doing here.
Congratulations on your great luck.
We don't need no luck. We don't need no luck. Y'all got issues. We're going to talk about the issues that y'all got going on in the basement. We heard it all along.
We have none, and it's fake news. All fake news.
We heard it all along. We upstairs because we live in a duplex. You know, in the duplex, Skip, you can hear everything. I told you. Your day coming. Your day coming. And it's going to happen sooner than later.
Well, opening night is your night.
No, Skip.
Yeah.
Shannon, I'll give you a congrats. At least for me. I know you're happy about this. I know you're excited.
I need to be there.
This is your
I need to be in attendance.
You can't go right now to these games. So you can't find a way inside.
The Lakers need to hire me for one day. I'm about to go into quarantine for 14 days so I get a job with the Lakers so I can be in attendance.
To be honest, I feel like you could pull it off. That would be something to see.
No mercy. Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
Well, Russell Westbrook is out in Houston. The Rockets traded the MVP to the Wizards, and they will get former All-Star John Wall and a future first-round pick in the deal. Wall last played in 2018 and has been rehabbing from a knee and Achilles injury since. So, Shannon, who won the trade?
Well, before I say that, Skip, I am sorry, Washington, because I spoke this into existence. I remember when Russell Westbrook first requested a trade, and I'm looking at it, I'm scouting, I'm like, The only trade that really makes sense, Skip, is him for John Wall. Because
you said that first?
I said that first, Skip.
Really?
And
I thought it's been rumored out there for weeks.
No, I said when I first saw the news, I came on here, hey, internet, do your thing now. You know the internet good at this here. Because, Skip, if you look at it, Skip, they're very similar players. Shoot about the same from the field. Shoot about the same from the three-point line. The contracts are basically identical. Coming off, have an injury history. And the question is, given their history of injuries, how these contracts going to look not only this year, but you still got 2 more years after this year. At about, what is it, 3 years, $131 million. So how's that going to look? But for me, Skip, who won the trade in the short term? I will say the Rockets, because they did get a first-round pick, but they lost overall because you shipped out Chris Paul the year before and gave up 4 first-round picks to get Russ. And you only get 1 of those back, and that's protected. So in the short term, they won. If you look, okay, trade for trade. Russ for John Wall. I'm going to say the Rockets won because they did get a first-round pick back in return. But overall, they lost this one, Skip. What they gave up, and that's the risk that you run. If you give up so many of these assets, and I guess it's hard to call them assets because we don't know what they're going to do with these picks. But when you give up all this, Skip, and the guy all of a sudden is not happy. But, Skip, what happened to the friendship? You know, I've been knowing James since I've been this big. I've been knowing James, my boy. We're from California. We grew up AAU. We play all this thing together. Skip, I don't know how people thought this was going to work. You got 2 guys that led the NBA that was either 1 or 2 in usage, which means I got the ball in my hands. They alternate. I'm number 1 one year, you number 2. I'm number 1 one year, you're number 2. Yep. And you put those 2 guys together, Skip, and people actually thought.
Yep.
Skip, yeah, I know that's my boy. Skip, look here. My brother, I like to think me and my brother is closer than Harden and Russ. I damn sure didn't want to play with him because I know he going to be griping for the ball, and I'm going to want my catches too. So you know what is best? You stay in Green Bay, I'll stay right over here in Denver. It would have been best that you don't put these guys together so you don't monk up the friendship. I don't think it monked it up, but they realized they couldn't play together. They realized Russ, as you like to say, Russ like this one-man game. Hey, look, I can have other people, but if I can do this, if I can be the ringmaster, if I can be the trapeze guy, if I can get shot out the cannon, if I can do all those things, why do I need all that, Skip? If I can do it.
Yep.
So for me, plus Russ gets to go back with Scotty Brooks. Coached him in OKC, Skip.
Yep.
3 straight triple-double seasons, MVP. He knows Scotty Brooks. But I don't think, is Bradley Beal happy? No. Is James Harden happy? No. Does James, now his beard more tight? Okay, hey, y'all got me John Wall. I'm good to stay. Let me sign that extension. No. I don't think that's the case, Skip. So can we say anybody won? Because I don't think anybody's happy with this. They just had to do it.
Which brings me right on time to my conclusion. In trying to figure out who won this, it made my head hurt last night. And I slept on it, and I'm still not sure there was a winner in this trade. They traded problems. That's all they did. John Wall is not a problem for the team as far as being on the team. He is beloved in Washington.
Yes.
They love him.
Yes.
He's been great in the community there.
Unbelievable.
And they're heartbroken to lose him.
Right.
But he hasn't played for 2 years. Who is he? What is he? What's left? And he had the dreaded Achilles injury on top of the ACL. And I think he did it falling down the stairs at home.
And the thing is, he's a speed guy, so he's probably going to be more impacted by the Achilles than Kevin Durant will be.
And I know he's posted some videos, and he looks explosive again. God bless him. I'm knock on wood for him. But who knows what he is now?
Right.
Who knows if he can live up to those last 2 years at top money? So what am I supposed to make of it? I don't know, because you got to tell me how good he's going to be. Look, you got 2 guys who are capable of averaging double-digit assists because they both done it.
They can be 20-10 guys.
They're both capable of leading the league in assists the way LeBron just led the league in assists. But they're neither a gifted passer to me. They have to work at it. They have to sort of concentrate on getting rid of the ball in the lane, like driving it and leaving it for a dunk.
Well, I really want to lay this ball up, but they got me blocked, so I'm going to kick it to you so you do something with it.
You dunk it, right? So I don't love either one of them as a showrunner, as a distributor, as a pure point. They're not pure points, either one of them.
Right.
John Wall, when he was at his athletic greatest, he's a highlight reel.
Yeah,
Woo.
Yes.
He can sky and dunk and make some sensational plays. Russ is much bigger box office to me than John Wall. So I'm going to give the Wizards a better grade because they got Russell Westbrook to sell because they don't have that much to sell.
Right.
But as I tweeted last night, poor Bradley Beal.
Yes.
I love Bradley Beal. He's such a good guy.
Right.
And he's such a gifted shooter. And now watch, he was looking for a reason to stay, and now he's got the biggest solo act in basketball.
Right.
And it's hard to play with Russ because like my mother used to call me bullheaded. Have you ever heard that term? You're bullheaded. Yeah. You won't listen. You just go. Well, that's Russ. He just bullheaded.
Right.
He just sees basket, attacks basket, and he loses touch with, wait, it's a team sport. Right. Well, it's not for us. And remember, what was his line? Why did he want out of Houston? I want to go back to playing my game.
Yes.
What's his game? You just said it.
Yes.
It's just hell-bent for the basket,
yes.
right? It's all about him. And I swear he became, in those 3 years in which he averaged a triple-double, he became more concerned with stats than winning. He just did.
That's what put him on the map, though, Skip.
It did.
Because it made people like, hold on, man, Kevin Durant, who? This guy won the MVP the year Kevin Durant left. And then he averaged a triple-double, had 42 triple-doubles, and then he followed it up with another season of triple-double, and then followed that up with another season.
Okay.
So now, Skip, I've got a taste, and this is how people know me. Skip, I ain't getting no... Man, I'm the fourth or fifth seed. Man, ain't nobody talking about Russ.
No. So, I don't even know if they can make the playoffs. I'm serious, because look at it. They missed last year.
Skip,
right?
I listen. Nets, Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Raptors, Heat, Pacers. Magic made the playoffs the last 2 seasons.
Okay.
So if you throw the Hawks are better.
Here come the Hawks.
So,
they are. They're better. I don't know if they can make it. It's going to be close.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and like, okay, I don't see. If you make it, what are you, 8? Maybe.
Remember, they went 25 and 47 with Bradley Beal having a career year.
Yes.
And they just gave Davis Bertans, my former Spur, a bunch of money. They gave him 5 years, $80 million. Yeah. He can shoot it. He's 6'9", but okay.
Russ should, Skip, with those shooters, Bradley Beal and Bertans, Russ should average 15 assists a night.
Okay. Will he? Probably not.
You say that. I say that's what he should do. I ain't say that he will do. Skip, and if you look at his last season, before he got hurt, guess who was in second in time of possession with the ball in their hand behind Harden? That guy, John Wall. So this notion that, no, he's not.
Yep.
He and Russ, Skip, that's why they traded him. They're the exact same guy. They shoot about the same from the three, 32%.
I agree.
They shoot the same from the floor. They play basically the same frenetic pace up and down.
I agree. What one advantage does Washington have right now? Well, Scotty Brooks coached Russ for 7 years in Oklahoma City, so at least he probably signed off on this. Yeah, I'm great with it.
Right.
And everybody's around Russ. They like him. You know, they just know when the game goes on, he gets sort of blind and goes into solo act.
Skip, I'm sure he's a great guy.
Yeah, I think he is.
He's a great guy to be around. Yeah. He's just a terrible guy to be a teammate of.
I agree. Okay, let's flip it to Houston.
From a playing standpoint, not that he's bad, just from...
Totally agree. Completely co-signed. Look at the Rockets now. So we have reunited 2 Kentucky teammates in Wall and DeMarcus Cousins. I'm still a big DeMarcus fan. I don't know about his physical condition.
Correct.
So now you got 2 former Kentucky stars, one who went first overall in that draft, and I don't know where they are physically right now.
And one had an Achilles injury, had an ACL injury, had a pulled quad, and now you bring his former teammate had the very similar same injuries. And
what am I supposed to expect from him? If you got him at peak performance, I like it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And yet, I got to give Russ one prop. You said it didn't work with James. I thought they were working the best they could. I thought Russell sacrificed last year, and he had a good year and more efficient year. He went 27, 8, and 7.
Right.
Not bad.
Right.
And he shared. He shared the basketball.
But that's the thing. But, Skip, he wasn't happy with that. That's what I'm saying.
He wasn't happy. Well, the reason he wasn't, because, then they go to the bubble. And what happened to Russ right away? He got COVID, remember?
Yeah.
And then he gets down there and he pulls his quad, and it kept him out for a while. And he goes into the playoffs limpy, right? Gimpy. And then they did win game 1 against your guys, right? And then I'll go to my grave saying that Danielle House thing going south, he violated the quarantine. Right?
Yep.
So the point was that all of a sudden it just went up in smoke, and then everybody was unhappy because they lost.
But I think the thing is, Skip, were they really ever happy playing with each other? I mean, his team
I think they were happy being around each other.
Yes, and I think the thing is, Skip, because we're boys, it didn't bubble over.
No.
That as it would have had they not known each other, and then you try to put these two guys together. But then, Skip, I don't even think if you don't know each other, you would have never, you would never even mix this. You would never mix, fire and gas because you already know it's combustible.
That is correct.
With this situation, Skip, I think they maximized as much as they could, as best they could. But Russ wasn't going to be happy, Skip, because he's happiest when he's one-man band.
Okay, I got it. So both teams are happier that they swap problems, but I don't think either team is better.
James Harden, like, hold on, wait a minute.
Yep.
Y'all getting everybody up out of here except me. Y'all got Covington up out of here. Y'all got Russ up out of here. Y'all traded CP3. You traded Capella. You let Dwight Howard go. Everybody can get up out of here except me. What y'all gonna do for me? And I ain't signing that 50. Now, you know you want to get out somewhere really bad, Skip. Somebody got 2 years, $100 million on the table for you. You say, nah, I'm good. You must really want to leave there.
Unless you really believe you're bound for Brooklyn.
Hey.
I don't know.
I can still be bound for Brooklyn. Give me that fund. Give me that 2 years, $100 million. Oh, y'all still trade for your boy now. But I don't know if Brooklyn want to get up with all those assets that they're going to ask for. Because, Skip, they're going to want Kyrie or KD, along with Dinwiddie and LeVert.
Probably. I would like to think it could be just Dinwiddie, LeVert, and anybody else you want. Joe Harris.
They're going to say, no. But they ain't a superstar. We need the equivalent. We got to get one superstar in this. You getting James Harden.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough for now, guys. I actually want to move on to the Cowboys and see how Skip feels about this. A Pro Football Focus analyst has an interesting suggestion for the Cowboys this offseason. They think Dallas should consider sending their draft pick and Dak Prescott to the New York Jets in return for the #1 pick. The Cowboys are currently projected to pick 4. So, Shannon, could you see this happening here?
Hell no. The Jets will never do this. Skip, the days with that Jimmy Johnson and you was around the Cowboys when they pulled that heist on the Minnesota Vikings, the Herschel Walker, and 3 first-round picks that turned out to be Emmitt Smith, Darren Woodson, Russell Maryland, and all those guys. That's never happened again, Skip, from the time that kid, Trevor Lawrence, stepped foot on the University of Clemson. Everybody said he's going to be the first pick in the draft.
They did.
You're not doing that. Skip, Miami offered the 5th pick and 3 first-rounders to move up to get Joe Burrow. They said no. Skip, when you believe you have that guy, you're not moving him. No, they weren't moving. You couldn't offer Indy enough to give up Andrew Luck. You couldn't offer Indy enough to give up Peyton Manning. Skip, when you have that guy, when he's been talked about like Trevor Lawrence has been talked about, they're not moving. And here's the thing, Skip. Normally what you try and do, you try to identify a quarterback in the draft, and then you build around him. See, if I give, okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, the Jets were to do it. They still got to sign that. So now I got to give up what? I got to pay him what? Somewhere between $150, $200 million? 5-year deal? Say 5 years, $200 million. That's $40 million a year, Skip. Now you've inhibited what I can put around him. See, the Cowboys can pay that because they've already got the pieces, Skip, around him. They've already signed, got CD on a rookie contract. They've already signed Amari. They've already got Zeke signed. Now, they might come back to Zeke and say, Zeke, we need to borrow a little something. We need to hold something. Let me hold $20. But for me, Skip, I think they'd be probably better served if they just go ahead and stand pat. Maybe if you don't like where you are, move back. But you're probably going to be in the market for a left tackle. Because if you notice, Skip, Tyron Smith, the injuries are starting to come with greater regularity, and they're starting to keep him out. He used to just miss a game, and then it went to 3 games, and then it went to 6 games, and now it's a season. So, but there's no way the Jets are getting off this pick, Skip. They're playing bad for a reason. They know what they're doing, Skip. They're going to try to move Sam Darnold. Now, I don't know what you're going to be able to get for. You're never going to be able to get what you get. You're not going to get a high first-round pick. You probably get a second, maybe a third, Skip. What did they get for Rosen? That's probably what you're going to get for Sam Darnold, but they're not moving this pick, Skip. They're not getting off this pick.
As much of a long shot as this scenario seems to be, there is one way it could happen, and that is once upon a time, a guy named Elway said no to, was it Baltimore?
Baltimore.
Yeah. Said, no, I don't want to play there. Really?
Yeah.
You don't want to play? Well, I guess we got to.
But see, he had a fallback. He's like, well, I got to play for the Yankees.
Baseball. Yep. Okay.
Even though he wasn't going to go play for the Yankees, and he thought, he didn't really like the owner, and he thought they were going to move.
Once upon a time, Eli Manning said to the San Diego Chargers, nope, I don't want to play there. I want to play in New York. Okay? What if, this is the only long shot hypothetical, if Trevor Lawrence told the Jets, I just don't want to play for you. It's hard to believe somebody would not play in New York City, but no to you. I don't like where you're headed. I don't like who you are. I just don't like the fit.
Right.
What if my Cowboys just lose out, which is possible after the debacle that I suffered on Thanksgiving? What if they lose out? They go to Baltimore, and it's Lamar would be, I'm thinking back.
Yeah, he's going to be
right?
back. Yeah, it's Monday too, cuz.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. Moved it to Tuesday? Okay.
Yeah. Then at Cincinnati, I don't know, it's a coin flip. Then San Francisco has come back to life.
Oh, yeah,
They're
beat San Francisco.
at Dallas. Then the Eagles come to Dallas, and they still have that defense played really well there. And I don't care
And
what
it's
you
a
say.
division. It's a rival. It's a division game.
Then end up at the Giants, and it could be for the Giants to close the deal on winning the division. So could they lose those last 5 games and lose their way? I don't know, maybe even to the 2 seed, because they're sitting on the 4 seed right now. I'm to the point where I was so disappointed in them on Thanksgiving that I'm ready to root for them to lose. Now, you could also make the case that if they win out, they could win the division.
Right.
So I don't know what to do with that, because it's the all-time worst division in the history of pro football.
6 wins, Skip. 6 wins is going to win this division.
Okay.
Can you win 3 of your last 5?
Okay.
Is there 3 wins in that last 5 you see?
Sure. In this year, I could see 4 wins.
You just sound really. You just sound confident.
Well, look, like I'm juggling balls here. My emotions are incredibly mixed.
Win the division or possibly get Trevor Lawrence. Or Fields.
possibly restock the whole defense by trading back and getting 3 first-round picks and landing a corner and a safety and a pass rusher.
Right.
I don't know. Right?
Right.
So, look. It's possible the Jets would also fall in love with Justin Fields, because I think a lot of people are starting to fall in love with him. I don't know. So could that be a possibility? What if Dallas loses to the 2 seed? I don't even know how it would all fall out. It's almost impossible to say with 5 games left. But it's possible. They're sitting at 3-8. If they finish, 3-13?
Right.
Would that get them the 2 seed? It might.
Right.
Okay.
Where's Jacksonville? Because I don't think Jacksonville won
they're
1 game.
too. Yeah, and obviously they're in the market for a quarterback.
Exactly.
And yet there are 4 quarterbacks who could go in the top 5 or 6 picks, right? So my point is, here's Jerry's dilemma. You keep saying Dak's price is going up, and you're probably right as far as Dak's perspective is going, his agent's perspective. They're probably thinking, we want Patrick Mahomes' money now. You guys are terrible without us. Well, I got to tell you the truth. We were terrible with you. We were terrible a year ago with you.
You finally admit that.
Well, no, I'm just saying. Well, you won't admit it because you think Dak deserves the money. Well, that's just what the market will bear, but that's not what he deserves because he hasn't earned that money. I'm going to say this one more time. In his last 17 starts, he's 6-11. And for those who have forgotten what happened earlier this year, when he got hurt, they were 1-3, and they were the luckiest team in the world to have stolen the 1 game against Atlanta on the onside kick, the watermelon kick, right?
Yep.
So they very easily could have been 0-4. And in that Giants game, remember, they fell behind 17-3 with Dak Prescott healthy.
Right.
So I don't know. How can I defend? I love Dak Prescott. I still think they could win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott, but not if you have to give him $45 million because that's what he wants.
Here's the thing, Skip. As I sit back and look at it, I really can only think of 2 quarterbacks off the top of my head. The Jets might be willing to let this pick go. One, I know absolutely for certain they would. That's Patrick Mahomes.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I agree.
Those are the only 2 because all the other guys, Skip, you know, even if you say, yeah, I like Aaron Rodgers, Skip, but you're not going to get Aaron Rodgers for another 4 years. Maybe Russ. Can you say, well, I'll be willing to do it. If I can just get Russ for 6 years, I'll be cool with that. But those other 2, Mahomes and Watson, no question.
Okay, well, obviously, I got you. Okay, unless Trevor Lawrence tells the Jets, I'm not going to play for you.
Well, I'm going to call his bluff. I'm going to draft him anyway, and then guess what? You're going to have to give me King's ransom. I might get 4 first-round picks.
Remember, a lot of people thought Joe Burrow would not go to Cincinnati, except he was an Ohio kid.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a built-in advantage, right?
Yeah, so I just think the thing is, Skip, I mean, look, I understand the kid's he's from He's from Georgia, suburb of Atlanta. And New York, that's a big place, but a big city, but nah, Skip, I just don't see a scenario. The Jets have done some bad things over the last 5, 6, 10 years.
Okay, so let's talk about Jerry Jones being all about dollars and cents.
Yes.
The second word spelled S-E-N-S-E. He's looking at the mathematics here, the economics, and he's saying, wait a second. Joe Burrow got 4 years, a grand total of $36.2 million. All guaranteed, but only $36.2 over 4 years.
Right.
So will Trevor Lawrence, in a pandemic, get much more than that?
Probably 10%. Quarterback only gets 10%.
Well, everything's going to shrink.
Yeah.
The cap's going to shrink. So somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
Okay, and Dak wants 45-ish million if going forward. So Dak wants far more than you could get Trevor Lawrence for 4 years. So Jerry's thinking, what if he's Roger Staubach, right?
That's why the Jets won't do the deals.
Okay.
For the simple fact for what you said. I got this kid on a rookie contract, and I can add multiple pieces around him, Skip. I can go, because they got money in the cap space. So I can go into the market. Like you said, it might be a compressed market because the cap's going down, and I can go get me another wide receiver, or I can get me a cornerback, or I can get some players to add to make this team. Probably, you probably, if you get Trevor Lawrence, you're going to want to add pieces. So you're going to probably, you had Richie Anderson. Look at what Richie Anderson is doing in Carolina.
No, he's good.
Yeah,
he's always good. He's a little shaky off the field, but again, well, he can fly.
Right. And so, Skip, I'm going to get as many pieces offensively as I can for Trevor Lawrence. So running back, Frank Gore's in year 15, 16. But so that's
they're a mess, man.
Right. Yeah. Look, one guy is not going to solve it. And this is it took some time to make this mess. Started with Mark Sanchez, and then you drafted poorly. And so Trevor Lawrence, although he's quarterback can get you out, it's going to take a minute though, Skip. It's going to take a minute. Jets in a heap of it.
I think I'm rooting against my Dallas Cowboys now.
I know you are, but look, Jimmy swindled somebody. Everybody, because Skip, everybody always talks about that trade. You know when they get,
I was right in the middle of it, man.
Can you believe that? Can you believe you believe what Minnesota gave up?
Yeah. Jimmy actually came to me on it was the Saturday before the Monday trade and asked me, what if I told you I could trade Herschel Walker for a king's ransom? That's what he asked me. I said, seriously? Because I wasn't a big Herschel fan because he was nearing the end of his run.
But he had just led the league in rushes, Skip.
Well, I got it. But he was battered, and he was just about finished.
So in other words, he was starting to tiptoe, huh?
He was tiptoeing.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
No mercy.
We know this by now. The Clippers blew a 3-1 lead this postseason, and now there is a ton of blame going around. According to a report by The Athletic, the superstar treatment of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George rubbed other players the wrong way. Kawhi was allowed to live in San Diego instead of LA, making him often late to team flights. And Kawhi and PG had control over the team's practice schedule, and some teammates believe Kawhi and PG could actually pick and choose which games they wanted to play, among other perks. This is crazy to me. Shannon, how shocking was all this to you?
It ain't shocking. It ain't crazy. It ain't shocking because second, third, I told you this was the problem. And Skip Bayless, for as much as people love Kawhi, he's a cyborg, he's much more of a problem behind the scenes than what we previously thought. Not me, but I tried to tell you this, Skip. Look, let me tell you what happened. Skip, I sit up here and I offer my opinion, but a lot of times what I try to do is that I try to give people insight through personal experience, having spent 14 years in locker rooms. And the thing that I've done is that when you start as a 7th round draft pick, and you work your way up and you become one of the leaders of the team, you become one of the guys, you get an opportunity to see how the guys that are in the locker room that are really good players, how they act, and how the players that are lesser tier, how they feel about how they act. And I told you this, Skip. I say, Skip, it's going to be a problem. Now, if you come from the outside and you get treatment differently, I'm like, hold on, wait a minute, what have you done? What did Tom Brady say? Tom Brady, when he got to Tampa, said, no matter what I've done in New England, I need to come here, ingratiate myself here in Tampa, and prove to them, okay, this is why I'm Tom Brady. This is how I came to be. Them guys came in that thing and said, look at it, bro. Hey, I'm Kawhi, I'm PG. Hey, bow down. And Trez, hold on, wait a minute. Sweet Lou, wait a minute. JaMychal Green like, whoa, bro, slow down. Y'all not practicing? Y'all play when you want to? You got us late, Kawhi, because you living down in San Diego? We not on your time. Your time is not more important than mine. And it rubbed people the wrong way. The only problem is that you have to understand, Trez couldn't control. I believe if Trez could have controlled it and not been, because think about it, Skip, Marcus Morris is basically have the same type of disposition as Trez. But he's like, hey, I'm just going to keep cool. Hey, y'all do y'all thing.
No, he asserted himself several times.
I'm going to go and get this money. I'm going to go and get this 4 years, $64 million. I'm going to keep it. Trez couldn't control it. Lou, they're going to try to get Lou up out of there, too. They not done, Skip, because this whole thing. In PG, Skip, did you see what he went on? All the smoke with Matt and Stacks? And he blamed everybody except Paul George.
We blame Doc. We didn't make adjustments.
Skip, there ain't no adjustment for gagging. You just like my grandma said, you almost choke. Boy, slow down. You're drinking too fast or you're eating too fast. That's the only adjustment you can make for gagging. But in sports, there is no adjustment. So what adjustment could I have made, Skip, for you hitting the side of the backboard? What adjustment could I have made of you stinking it up? Even after Doc, after everything you went through, Doc, you remember he went through what he went through? And even after what he did to Doc's daughter, Doc set that to the side, went to his room and talked to him and said, son, you just got to be aggressive. You got to be Paul George. After all that, you going to come out there and tell me that man used you the wrong way. So what adjustment did you make to get that 3-1 lead? You ain't mentioned nothing about that. You had a 3-1 lead, Skip. But I told you this is going to be a problem. You got a bunch of guys that are not on the level of LeBron and try to get LeBron James perks. And that don't work. Now, I want you to have that same energy. Because anytime LeBron says something, LeBron does something, ooh, Skip Bayless on him with both feet. And I need that kind of energy for Kawhi. I need that kind of energy for Kawhi. Now, come on with it.
My turn?
It's your turn.
Thank you. What you just uttered was the biggest bunch of hypocritical baloney you have ever uttered on this show. You were all but crawling for Kawhi Leonard during that free agent period July ago. You wanted him desperately. You came on here every day just cheerleading. We got to get him. We got him. We got to get him. He would have been all of that. He was demanding exactly the same special treatment from the Lakers. You know it, and I know it. What did he have in Toronto? He had all of the above. What happened in Toronto? They won the championship. What was he telling everybody who wanted him on the open market? I come under my own conditions. If you want me, you got to give me this special treatment.
I need nobody. Just give me the games off and the practice.
And the Lakers were prepared to bow down for Kawhi Leonard. I'm sorry, they just were. LeBron has his own special treatment, but we don't hear much about it because he's earned it and he deserves it. The first thing they say, Kawhi and Paul George had their own security guards and trainers. LeBron's always had his own security guard and trainer. Michael Jordan always had several security guards and the great Tim Grover, independent of the Bulls.
Correct.
Okay?
That is correct.
So all of this stuff is much ado about nothing.
I don't care about
changing practice schedules. We had the story during the bubble that LeBron and AD had finally decided we don't like shoot-arounds anymore. It's a staple of NBA life. You got to get up. You got to go over to the gym where you're going to play that night and just shoot around, walk through a couple of things that you might do differently. Right. It's just what every team has always done since the beginning of NBA time. And they said, you know what? This is foolish. We're not going to do it anymore. It's the same issue. It's the same thing.
But the difference is the leadership of LeBron James versus the lack of leadership of what they had in the Clippers.
I will agree with that, especially when it came to the bubble. But I want everybody to think about this. Here's the centerpiece quote in this article, and I'm not knocking the article. It is well done, well reported. But the centerpiece quote is from a Clippers source. How do you ever build a strong team with that bleep going on? I thought from the beginning, we're doomed. Kawhi wants too much special treatment. Okay, number one, he had the same treatment in Toronto, and they won the championship. So how can you be doomed in Clipperland with the same treatment? Number two, what happened on opening night a year ago? The Clippers took the Lakers all apart in the fourth quarter, mostly because of Kawhi Leonard. Down the stretch, he took the game over. LeBron scored 2 points in the fourth. AD, in his first game, scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. What happened on Christmas Day? You know what happened. The Clippers took the game over. Pat Bev blocks LeBron at the end of the game. They won again. Then the Lakers got even. But guess what was happening while the Lakers got even? Coming out of All-Star break, just before the pandemic hit, the Clippers took off. They were on a roll. They won 6 straight games. And Doc was talking about, we're finally clicking. We finally figured it out. And then all of a sudden, when I told you they needed reps, they needed the season to finish, and you needed rest, you got rest, we didn't get reps. So Doc was on. Tell me how it was broken at that point. It was fixed. It was great.
Yeah. Kawhi and Paul George are the type of leaders, as long as it's smooth sailing, everything will be fine.
All right.
But if the car needs some repairs, they don't know. They don't know anything.
Okay, then here comes the bubble. And what happened to the Clippers? Half the team didn't want to be in the bubble. And all of a sudden, Zubats and Landry Shamet got COVID before the bubble hit, you know. And then Marcus Morris and JaMychal Green were late for personal reasons. And then all of a sudden, you know what happens? There's some death in the family issues going on, and Trez has to leave, then Lou Will has to leave, and then their hearts were never in it. And Montrez was just a bust when he came back. He was out of shape, and he was out of sync. And again, one of the fixes that this piece talks about is that Doc should have started cutting Trez's minutes, but he wouldn't do it. He hung with him until it was too late because he became a defensive liability.
He should have started cutting Paul George minutes.
Okay, well, you can argue that. But the point was, here came Pat Bev into the bubble, and he pulled his calf, and he missed a bunch of time. So their team was having a hard enough time because the 2 stars had only played together for 11 games during the regular season.
Well, Skip, but here's the thing, though, Skip. If you can't practice together, how do we get reps, Skip, if you can't practice? Because remember, at least the Lakers had a training camp in which all the guys were there. Remember, Kawhi had off-season surgery. Paul George had both shoulders. So they didn't get to practice no training camp. At least the Lakers got a training camp. Yep. So shoot around, Skip, all you're doing is shoot around, you're going over sets. Yep. Okay, I get it. But how are you ever going to get this when you didn't get this in training camp?
Yep.
But Paul George was the last guy. Had he had an outstanding playoffs, maybe he could say something. But what about Kawhi in 2 points in a Game 7 in the second half? What about Paul George hitting the side of the backboard, averaging 15?
But don't come to me with, it's broken and it'll never work. They were the favorite, the betting favorite, the odds makers' favorite going into the postseason. In the bubble, the Clippers were favored, not the Lakers, the Clippers. And in every game against Denver, they were bigger favorites than the Lakers were going to be against Denver. So all along, the odds makers, those who break these games down, they were saying Clippers are better. Clippers are better than the Lakers. They showed you that every game. And the Clippers in the closeout games, I'm going to remind everybody, they're ahead by 15 in the first closeout, 19 in the second one, and 12 in the next one. Yeah. Were they broken internally? I will give you that because Doc was giving up on this team, and I don't condemn him for that. He just thought that they weren't listening to him anymore. And I thought he sat back on the bench because he got sick and tired of them. And he's been there and done all that. He's won the ring with the Celtics, obviously. He just folded his arms on the bench and said, you guys figure it out. And the only credibility to what Paul George said on the podcast, all the smoke, was that Doc didn't even try to fix it. Once it started going south, he's like, you guys figure it out because I'm sick and tired of you. That's what happened. So they didn't strategically try to change anything.
So what did Paul George try and fix?
Nothing, because I didn't even bring this up. But what happened early in the bubble to Paul George, he openly talked about the depression and anxiety he was suffering. He was broken in the bubble. He was having a hard time.
And what brought on that depression and anxiety? It was him cracking because of the expectation. Skip, you got to realize.
Well, he talked about the bubble just being confined to the bubble, Skip, like he couldn't take it.
And look, I'm not knocking him because their issue, the mental health issues and depression, is serious.
And it was really serious in the bubble because they're stuck there.
But Skip, they paired him. Kawhi says, I need what LeBron got in AD. I need that. Now, let's not sweep under the rug. He called KD first. And then he called Jimmy Butler. He asked Kyrie. Yep. He asked a lot of guys. And he settled on Paul George. So the pressure, Skip, because here's the thing. Skip, nobody thought Paul George was going to win no title in Indiana. Nobody thought Paul George was going to win no title in OKC.
I certainly did.
But that pressure to go there with that guy, because that guy had just come off a championship. Skip, I don't care what anybody says. Nobody thought the Raptors was going to win that title when they traded for Kawhi. And nobody, the Raptors are overwhelming. No, they didn't. And had KD not gotten hurt, and they still wouldn't have won.
Okay.
You know that, I know that. But Skip Bayless, I keep telling you. So now what? Okay, he load managed last year, and then they win the title. So can he go back to practicing now?
Okay,
can he go back to play every game?
Remember how close they were.
They were close.
It's hard to get up 3-1 on the Denver Nuggets because they're really talented. It's hard to get up 15 and 19 and 12 on the Nuggets in closeout games, but they couldn't close it because they weren't together enough. They hadn't had enough reps together. Their whole rotation had only been together for 11 games through the year, where they had everybody healthy. So they weren't ready for this. And again, they don't have a quality point guard. That's why I wanted Rondo.
So you got one now?
Nope, they do not.
I just Skip. But the thing is, your guys aren't better than my guys. Your two best players aren't better than my two best players. And that's the difference. Can you imagine? You think the pandemic and what happened in 2020 is bad? Let LeBron James had a 3-1 lead and had a 15, 19, and 12-point lead in the last 3 games and lose. You think COVID? Man, what? And that's what Kawhi Leonard did.
The odds makers kept telling you, kept slapping you in the face with the Clippers are more talented.
And I kept pushing those winning tickets in because I kept taking the Nuggets and I kept taking the Lakers and I kept cashing winning tickets.
Here's the conclusion to this expose that you were just gloating over. The conclusion says the Clippers had as much, if not more talent than any other team in the NBA last season, but the ingredients never quite mixed right. I'll buy that.
Thank you, Skip.
Okay.
Skip, look here. Here's the thing, Skip. You and I both, your brother, we can give us the same ingredients, and you give those ingredients to Bobby Flay. He's going to make a dish that tastes better than ours, even though we got the exact same ingredients. Okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, the Clippers and Lakers are equally talented. But the guy that we got cooking is Go James.
Wait a second. Now we got Serge who can really cook.
Skip,
I mean, literally,
I tell you what,
really cook.
Skip, you know
he
what?
has his own cooking show.
Skip,
you can't out.
How about this?
Serge.
I'm going to do you like this here. Serge Ibaka, Chewbacca, Waka Flocka. Lakers in 5.
Lakers in 5. I got clips on opening night. That's all.
Skip. I mean, think everybody's eyes going to be looking up there. I mean, can you imagine? Hey, Kawhi. Kawhi, because he like to come out there and put his hand behind his back and keep his head down like he been, look up. Look up. Because everything you need to see, the eyes are talking about,
you're going to be looking up into the rafters, and meanwhile, we're going to be running between your legs, just laying it out.
LeBron going to get it up and have a statue out front. Oh, Skip. That's a beautiful thing. Skip, I don't know. Look, you were in Dallas when they winning them titles in opening day, or that Sunday, because back then they didn't play on the Thursday night. That Sunday they dropped that back. Oh, the fans just go bonkers. Yeah. Can you imagine being in that arena and to know y'all in the basement? But I keep telling you, Skip, see, in a duplex, I know you never lived in a duplex. Whether you live on the top floor or the bottom floor, you can hear everything. And because we are the upstairs and y'all in the basement, we can hear all these rumblings. So that's why it wasn't hard. Hey, sometimes, Skip Bayless, we knocked on the door. Trez answered the door. Hey, bro, you don't seem happy. What you want to do? Say, hey, just give me a second. He went and got his bag. He already had his bag packed. Went and got his bag and came on upstairs.
I love this story for Kawhi Leonard. Somewhere he's in the lab right now saying, okay, watch this.
What did Jermichael Green say?
Who cares?
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that. Don't do that.
We did not want him. We did not try to keep him.
Hold on. Oh, but Rondo. Oh, y'all lost Rondo. Oh, y'all lost JaVale. You lost the White Howard. You lost
it. Keep going, Danny Green. Keep going.
Yeah. We good. We the champs. We got what y'all want.
Right now, you're the champ.
What do you have that anybody else in the NBA wants? Nothing. We got it. We the champs.
No mercy.
We had a little Wednesday afternoon football yesterday, and the Steelers remain undefeated, beating the Ravens 19-14. Former Heisman Trophy winner Robert Griffin III started for Lamar Jackson, and well, he had a tough outing. RG3 only completed 7 passes for 33 yards with a pick-6 before finally leaving the game with a hamstring injury. So, Shannon, how did you feel seeing RG3 out there?
Bad. Felt sad. I remember what he was. He was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. That's what he could have been. He was Kyler Murray before Kyler Murray. That's what he could be. Skip, he could run. He had world-class speed. This kid was he had world-class speed.
As a hurdler.
he could throw the ball, Skip. I mean, he threw for 3,000 yards at his rookie season, ran for over 800 yards. And Skip, he had an 80-yard touch. Remember that touchdown run against Minnesota? He just hit the corner and he was gone. He was gone.
Yep.
Outran the entire defense. And the same thing that happened to him early in his career happened yesterday. He can't stay healthy, Skip. This is only his second start since 2016. He got hurt in his rookie season. He got hurt the next season. He goes to Cleveland. In his first game, he thinks he's a fullback. He tries to run the guy, and he blows his shoulder up. And yesterday, what did he do, Skip? Hamstring. Can't stay healthy. And what he wants to be is a pass-from-the-pocket quarterback. But, Skip, how can you be from a pass-from-the-pocket quarterback when that's not what your offense is? So he would literally need to spend 3 hours a day just doing dropbacks in a conventional set. Well, that's not your offense. Your offense is not predicated like that. And what he didn't understand, Skip, is that he wasn't a pure dropback passer coming out. So it was going to, see, Mahomes is just, Skip, that's all he did was throw the ball at Texas Tech. So him throwing the ball was nothing. He didn't run the zone read stuff. It was just throw. You look at the guys that are proficient at throwing the ball. Look at Deshaun. Deshaun threw the ball, and they allowed him to throw the ball a lot. And RG3 just, he wanted to be Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees when he could have been the best RG3, and that would have been plenty good enough.
Yep.
But in his mind, he was never going to get the praise, the adulation, the respect that he deserved because he wasn't a drop back. Because even though he won Rookie of the Year, people was heaping praise on Andrew Luck because he was more like Peyton, those prototypical quarterbacks. Skip, I just felt sad because this kid could have been special. And all we have to now is like what could have been.
Yep.
And that's all I think about, what could have been.
Yep. Likewise. When RG3 came out of college, I became the biggest fan of his. And I want to remind everybody, he's still only 30 years of age. So it feels like he's been around for 20 years, but it hasn't been that long. But
look at him, Skip. He look older than that.
He does. And I'm with you. Yesterday was hard for me to watch. He wound up 7 of 12 for 33 yards. I saw one brief glimpse of the old RG3.
Yeah.
He got loose for a 39-yard
Yeah.
run. I think we have the video of this.
On like a quarterback power.
Yeah. Just split him right up the middle. And all of a sudden, I'm saying, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember that guy. Huh. And it got them in position to completely mismanage the clock at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I don't know
how it happened, but they allowed the Steelers to hold down the running
But nobody was in, RG3 wasn't even in a hurry. Like, he should have been pulling people like, come on, guys, we got to get going.
We got to go. And yet he did lob a little potential touchdown pass to Luke Wilson. I thought he had it for a second.
Luke Wilson, Terrell. There's a reason why he's not in Seattle.
Yeah, I know. I got it. So the point is this. Once upon a time on a Saturday night back in 2011, I'm a big, as you know, University of Oklahoma Sooners fan. I had to sit and watch Robert Griffin torch my Sooners. He threw for 479 yards that night in Waco, Texas. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, ran for 72 more. So that's 531 total yards against my Sooners. And I said, that is special.
Yeah.
And I said, before the draft, that kid's going to be better than Andrew Luck, who I watched a lot at Stanford, and he was a mistake maker. He was a big turnover, he close to being turnover machine-ish.
Well, he was perfect for Bruce Arians because he would risk it. he wanted to risk it.
So I said I would take Robert over Andrew Luck, and he proved me right for that year because you remember under your man Mike Shanahan with Kyle Shanahan alongside.
He was Offensive Player of the Week in his first start against New Orleans. Remember, they had it.
He was. And then he was Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
They won the division. What a year he had until late in the year, one fateful day against Baltimore, these same Ravens he now plays for. He took off late in the game, 1:56 left in that game on a 2nd and 19, and he ran 13 yards and ran into one Haloti Nata. Robert, slide, just get down. No, don't do that. Get down.
It's like his leg whipped.
Yep.
Look at his leg.
Oh, God.
I thought he had broke his leg.
I did too. And I said, no, don't tell me. So they take him in the tent. he tried to come back in and play. That was the beginning of the end of what you saw as special. Because he should have just probably called it a year at that point.
Well, Skip, what they wanted to do, they wanted him to take time off. But if you remember, they played Cleveland the next week.
Yep.
First Cousins came in and did an unbelievable job.
He was good.
And Robert says, I'm starting, and the owner told Mike that he was going to start Robert.
Yep.
That was not the original plan. The original plan was to have him take 3-4 weeks off.
So he started the last game against Philly, okay, which led to the home playoff game against Seattle.
Right.
And it led to a 14-0 RG3 lead. And then you know the rest of the story. It was horrendous what happened because it got wrecked beyond wrecked. And then here we went with the second year, the off-season documentary, The Will to Win. And he documented all of his recovery like
he getting married, he going to Kentucky Derby, he doing all the things that's really not... Skip, if you serious about... Look, I'm not saying, look, you want to get married up, I mean, I would like to think so that, babe, look, we going to do this. But right now, my future is in the balance.
Yeah.
Because this is a serious injury for me.
Yep.
And so let's just take it out. Let me rehab. Skip, you don't need to document no rehab. Bruh, and that throw yesterday, Skip, the one that Joe Hayden picked him, that's a trap corner. Now, the Steelers love to play what we call cover sixes, quarter, half. That was a roll corner. Now, Hayden tried to get McSorley. It was the exact same play. He looked at him and then hit Hollywood Gophers. I'm like, RG3, what are you doing? That's a trap corner. That's cover two to that side. Bruh. But Skip,
okay. So he became, to me, what I started calling RGIII.
Yep.
In Washington, they called him RG Me.
Yeah.
And to your point, his parents, when his father went in to see Mike Shannon in the offseason and said, hey, we've decided our son is now Peyton Manning.
Yep.
No more run, but we don't want to run the zone read anymore. And I'm thinking, you don't want to run because he's really good at it if he could just learn to slide.
Thank you.
But he wouldn't learn to slide. They even brought in somebody from the Washington Nationals to teach him to slide, and he couldn't figure out how to get down.
And it was Robert Skip. He had the relationship that he had with the owner.
Yep.
I mean, you can't be riding to the game with the owner and with his security detail.
No.
Bruh, you can't be separate like that. But like you said, his parents saw him one way. And think about it. They did everything. They went down there and they talked to Art Browse.
Yep.
And they adopted. That's not the West Coast offense that he was running. I ran that offense. I know what the West Coast offense is. And that's not it. They put an offense in especially for him. And that's what good coaches do. That's what good offensive coordinators do. That's not my style. You're going to run my... No. What are you good at? Okay, we're going to build offense around you. Nah, I want to drop back. Bruh, but you're not there yet. It's a gradual process.
Yep.
Skip, Steve Young had to learn how to throw the ball from the pocket. Because what would Steve do? First option went there. He gone.
Go.
But then all of a sudden, he became one of the better guys throwing from the pocket there was.
No, he did.
But it took time.
Yep.
RG3 says, nah, I ain't got that kind of time, bro. I need this right now.
So for me, Robert Griffin III became the saddest on-field performance story I've ever seen in your league, or really in sports. I'm not talking about off-field tragedy. I'm talking about on-field going from up here to down here, what we saw yesterday. Really? That happened? You're still only 30 years of age? I mean, you should be in the middle of your prime right now.
Now, Skip, they're going to be, they're trying to get, look, they're not catching the Steelers. The division is gone. Skip, you got to hope for the playoffs.
Yeah.
You
still got a shot, but they got a pretty easy close.
Yeah. I mean, basically, they get the Cowboys at home. They're at the Browns. The Browns seem to be hit their stride. They get the Jags. Jags not doing. They're going to look like they're going to face the Giants without Daniel Jones, and then you get the Bengals without Joe Burrow. So it looks like they can win 4. They might win them all. They look like 4 or 5 is very reasonable. Yep. So 10-6. That should get you a playoff spot. But it's Skip. He could have been Lamar. Skip, he could have been Lamar. Skip, he was Lamar before Lamar.
Yeah. I was rooting for him yesterday. I thought it was a big stage for him to rise and shine.
Yes.
No, a lot of the players had mixed emotions about even being out there. So take it over. Go with it.
And I don't hear nothing about this short. Look, you understood that when there was not going to be a bubble situation.
Yep.
So you understood, Skip, that the NFL is going to do all they possibly can. And they made it abundantly clear and at the beginning of the year. We don't care nothing about competitive balance. If we can contain this, we're going to contain it. So if you lose all your offensive linemen, we're going to have tight ends and wide receivers playing offensive line.
Yep.
So be it. You understood that the guys are like, okay, we cool with that because we ain't missing no checks. Now, Skip, we got to get them checks.
Yep.
So we going to get them checked. So I'm with Skip. Think about the Broncos. They went out there with a quarterback that was selling lawnmowers 2 days ago at Lowe's.
Yep.
So the NFL don't care nothing about no competitive balance. If they can get this virus contained, you go into play. So they done moved it. They postponed. But nah, bro, you got to get up out there. You can't make no excuses because everybody's going through the exact same thing.
No mercy.
Luka Doncic has been great since his NBA debut, and the King has noticed. LeBron called Luka, quote, one of the best players in the NBA, and went so far to say he wanted to start a Nike Team LeBron and make Doncic his first signee. So, Shannon, what do you make of LeBron's gushing praise here of Luka?
Skip, I think LeBron sees a lot of himself in Luka, a guy that can do all things. He can score the basketball. He can assist the basketball. He can rebound the basketball. He's a walking triple-double. And, like I said, I think he's about the same age that LeBron was when he got into the NBA. And, so LeBron sees a lot of himself in Luka Doncic. Skip, I'm surprised that LeBron was so public about this, especially that Nike was kind of hesitant or resistant to the fact of him starting a Team LeBron line. Now, they got the brand Jordan, which is still under the umbrella of Nike, but I think Nike was like, you know what, we would rather just cut you a check for $40 million as opposed to having to give you a percentage because, obviously, brand Jordan, he gets a percentage of that. So it was a lot easier. And plus LeBron sees, Skip, not only is Luka a star in America, the international market. So LeBron's like, okay, young guy, looks like he's going to be on the scene for a minute. He's only getting better. So I can see what LeBron saw. I can see LeBron. But I'm surprised that LeBron said this publicly. I'm surprised that Nike was, well, I guess I shouldn't be surprised because, look, if I can make more money and not cut you in on it, I'll do that also. So, but I'm surprised, Skip, LeBron was, he's on that potion. You telling, you didn't get on that potion, Skip. You tell the truth now,
That tequila potion?
Yeah, you on that Lobos. That way, little brain. You need your boy, hey, I don't send your boy some care package.
His tongue got a little loose.
Yeah.
In that podcast, right?
I'm surprised. I was surprised he said it.
So, I will give you that LeBron sees in Luka gifted passer, just gifted. And a gifted scorer of the basketball. However he can figure it out, he just scores. LeBron can do that too. When he decides to score, he can score in bunches.
Right.
Yet, I wonder if he looks at him and sees some of the same flaws early on that LeBron had to fight through because I keep telling you, Luka is a poor shooter and a poor free throw shooter for superstar because you've already proclaimed him a superstar. But look at last year. He made 31.6% of his three-point shots. So that's early LeBron-esque. LeBron has gotten better in that category. But early Luka, that ranked 140th of 147 qualified players in three-point shooting. He was 140? Really?
Well, Skip, he taking 150 of those step backs.
Okay, but that's of 147 players. And then free throw shooting. He's going to shoot a ton because he can get to the basket.
Yeah.
But he ranked 85th out of 118 who qualified from the free throw line.
Better.
Okay, is he going to get better?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know.
Then we get to clutchness, issue I've had with LeBron going back to his first couple of years.
But not no more, though.
Okay, clutchness for Luka. Man, do you realize last year with a minute or less in the fourth quarter in overtime, this is during the whole regular season, he led the whole league in three-point shooting misses. Threes missed in the last minute of games that were close. He ranked number one in that category with the most. And prior to that one big shot that he hit to beat the Clippers in, game 4 of that series, Luka had been 0 for 10 on potential game-tying or go-ahead shots in the final minute of regulation or overtime. He was 0 for 10 until he finally hit that one to beat the Clippers. So he was having big clutch issues. And finally, he was having mental and physical toughness issues because the book on him early on was, you remember that November 1st game last year at Dallas, Dwight was just, I think the book was just just rough him up.
Right.
Just cheap shot him a little bit, knock him off his game, knock him out of sorts.
Skip, that's the book on all European players because they play a more free-flowing type of a ball game. So, hey, let's put bodies on them. Let's make sure they feel our presence. And so, you get physical with a guy like that. But Skip, he's only 20 years old, so he'll put a little muscle. He'll put a little tone, little muscle on, get in the gym. He's gonna be deal with.
And then, do you remember what Kyle Kuzma said after that game? Talking about defensively.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma just blurted out, "We passed the ball to whoever Luka was guarding."
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, you want to put him in the pick and roll, Skip.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, that wasn't a flaw for LeBron because early on he could defend at a high level.
But Skip, you remember that's what Giannis said about James Harden. Remember in the All-Star game, he said he was picking him. We said, well, I want somebody to play defense. And then they said, well, what would you do? What was your scheme at the end of the ball game? Well, whoever he was guarding, we wanted him to get the ball.
And Giannis was wrong about that because James Harden this past year, he defended at a high level. His defensive rating was very high.
I mean, LeBron said, well, okay, I'll take Beard. You don't want him?
Yeah.
Because it was like he was picking over all the, you don't want James Harden. But Skip, look.
So do you think LeBron sees he has sort of a sympathetic view of Luka, like I see the flaws, but he can overcome them?
Yeah, he's going to be great. I ain't going to say he's going to be GOAT, but, I ain't seen anything like him since Larry.
Yeah, well, that's what you said. But I think you were starting to go to he is Larry Bird.
No, I didn't say that.
Next. He's got next.
Yeah, he got next. He on deck.
Next Larry
Bird,
on deck, says Shannon Sharpe.
Skip, Skip, first of all, it's a rarity. Larry Bird wasn't normal. Larry Bird would have been good in any era. Because the way he can shoot the ball, can you imagine the way he can shoot the ball now in the space without the physicality?
Yep.
Man, Larry probably he'd average 35.
Larry Bird could just flat out shoot it.
He could.
He could make 90% of his free throws, and the three-point wasn't emphasized as much. So
but he was a 50, 40, 90 guy.
Right. He could be that.
Yeah.
Okay. Luka, for me, the reason I withhold my blessing of him, I don't want to see a superstar who can't shoot. No. Especially one who handles the ball.
Well, I don't believe he'll ever shoot 90%. I don't believe he'll go from 75 to 90% from the free throw line. Yep. But I do believe he can be a 35, 36% three-point shooter, Skip. But you have to understand, Skip, these guys, a lot of the shots that they're taking now and making, they were frowned upon. Skip, they wouldn't allow you to shoot no step-back threes. These guys, just about everybody's shooting a step-back three now. James Harden is perfecting a one-legged three, a running one-legged point shot. Normally, these shots these guys are shooting, Skip, they were shooting at the end of the half or the end of the quarter, not with 15 seconds on the shot clock.
Yep.
But look at that dude.
Which game did the NBA put in its marquee primetime slot on Christmas evening? LeBron
We
versus
deserved that game.
Luka.
So let me ask you a question. Who else did you think should be in prime time? 5 o'clock Pacific time.
You guys. You should be.
8 Eastern.
Yep.
Okay, then. So what's the problem?
Well, it should have been against the Clippers, but that's...
We just played the Clippers tonight, 2 nights earlier.
They punished the Clippers. They sent them to Denver.
Well, go back to... You couldn't be... Well, maybe you can get your revenge. It's too late, though, but maybe.
We already bet on it.
Skip.
Revenge.
Yo, got y'all. And they got Jermichael. Can tell y'all they ain't got no heart over there. He said even if we get down by 15 points, they ain't got no heart over there. They soft.
We'll see heart
soft.
On a late Christmas evening. We'll see.
Yeah, he probably would have talking about, Paul George and Kawhi.
Yep.
Drugstore cotton sauce.
Yeah, okay.
No mercy.
Well, in 2 days, it's the fight event of the fall as undefeated Errol Spence Jr. takes on Danny Garcia for the World Welterweight Championship. Available on pay-per-view or buy the fight on foxsports.com/PPV and watch on any screen you want. Fox boxing analyst and former heavyweight champ Lennox Lewis joins the show now to discuss that fight Saturday. But before we get into it, Lennox, I know you watched Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. last weekend. What did you make of Tyson's performance?
I thought his performance was great. It's great to see Mike Tyson back in the ring again. And, a lot of people were catching some nostalgia in there and bringing back old times. My son really opened my eyes to it. He said, Dad, can you actually believe it? I'm actually watching guys that boxed in your era. So I'm like, yeah, that's great. So he was happy for that.
Are you suffering a nostalgic breakdown? Are you trying to get back into the ring?
Not really, but, there's guys out there that are still calling my name.
So, Lennox, what did you see from 54-year-old Mike Tyson, the man you defeated and sort of ended his real career? Did you see legitimate punching power left in that body of his?
Well, you know, Mike Tyson's still got the mechanics of boxing, and he knows how to, you know, pivot and turn. He knows the biomechanics of boxing. So, yes, he's got weight. He's got power still. And he wound up a couple times, you know, the ones that you see on the pad, boom, 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 that quick combination. He had to slow himself down, because if he would have really came through with that combination, Roy Jones would be knocked out. And you can see Roy Jones was tired. That's because he's in with the heavyweight. You know, he's moving around. He doesn't want to get hit. Then he has to hold him. So there's two components there.
And then plus, I think Roy was also carrying some extra weight. Roy's not used to carrying 215, even though it's only 8 rounds, and I think it's 2 minutes per round. That's still a lot of weight for him, a guy that mainly fought at super middleweight 168.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, that's probably his walking around weight.
Right.
And then you train and you get down to a certain weight class that you feel comfortable to box with.
So, Lennox, what would happen if Mike Tyson at 54 took on a legitimate young contender? I know I would pay to see it, but what do you think I would see?
You'd see a young man against an old man. You know what I mean? There's a time when, you know, boxers need to stop because the young guys are just hungrier. And, you know, 54 is the wrong time to be boxing again. You got to be boxing in your teens, in your 20s and 30s.
Well, you also saw the undercard. You saw Nate Robinson take on a YouTube guy, Jake Paul. Tell the people at home what went wrong with Nate. Why was he knocked out? What did you see?
Well, you know, boxing is a very serious sport. It's a life and death sport. And there's a lot of people that really put the time into it, and they sacrifice their time. And, you know, this is not no play thing. It's a serious thing. People get hurt. And this is just a reminder that, you know, if you're into boxing, take it seriously. It's not no play thing. You know, he probably took it seriously. I'm not saying he didn't take it seriously, but, you know, you need experience. Experience is the key. If you don't have experience, then you get caught in a situation you don't know how to do it, and it's embarrassing. So I don't know how much boxing he took, or if he had some fights previous, which he should have. And that would have like helped the whole thing. But, you know, it's entertainment, and some people were entertained.
So, Lennox, put Mike Tyson, just sum this up for us, put Mike Tyson's sort of life and times and his boxing career into perspective. How do you view him in the big picture?
You're talking about big picture as him fighting again, or big picture as his
looking back.
Career?
Who was he? What was he as a champ, and then one who struggled?
Yeah, Mike Tyson. We've all gone through trials and tribulations, and Mike Tyson, you know, he came from a rough background where, you know, he had some people look after him, Customato, and cared for him, and then Customato wasn't there for a while, and you know, he seemed to, you know, go downhill in the sense of going through different dramas with promoters and personally and publicly, and then, you know, the reinsurgent of Mike Tyson is back again, and, you know, he's doing good things. He's in movies. He's got his own show. You know, he's doing great charity work. So this is the kind of turnaround you want to see in somebody's life. You know, it's up and down story. Same thing with my documentary, The Untold Story. A lot of people don't know my history, what my path was, what I went through. And this gives them an overview of my career as well. So, and Mike Tyson's very much in there as well. And you could see how long me and him were connected since we were 15.
Really?
We've been connected, and, you know, I've seen him where we've been friends. He's taken me up to his room, and we've watched old time fights. He actually educated me about old time fighters and the history of boxing. And I was amazed at how much he knew about that. So he educated me on that.
And by the way, the movie of your life, it's called Lennox Lewis, The Untold Story, is narrated by Dr. Dre. And when is it available?
It's available right now. Right now on Crackle, it's available. And please go see it and tell me what you think. Okay, we shall. So now let's turn to what's coming up Saturday night. You're going to be there for the Errol Spence bout, Errol Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia. And I'm going to ask you the question every boxing fan wants to know. Obviously, about a year ago, Errol Spence Jr. was involved in a horrific, life-threatening car crash, got ejected from his vehicle, eventually charged with DWI. Nobody seems to know what does he have left now? What will he be? What is your gut telling you? What should we expect from him this Saturday night in his return to the ring? This is the big question. Everybody wants to know that, when somebody goes through a big accident like that, or maybe a loss, it's almost like a loss because it kind of throws you back. He was in the hospital bed. He had to do some operation. And now he's coming back against one of the top guys, Danny Garcia. He's no slouch. He's a serious competitor. And, he's saying, Errol Spence is saying he's okay. We just want to see if he's okay. Nobody really knows for sure. It's not 100% until he gets in there, till we see him perform. And we're satisfied that he's okay, then he's okay. So, this is what makes exciting fights, because there's different aspects of the fight, which, we have to look at. We have to look at, is he okay? Did that accident affect him? Will Danny Garcia be able to tell everybody that it's a lie, it's not the truth? And, I'm excited about the fight. I'm looking forward to it. These guys are great fighters, and they just want to show their talent, and they've got a lot of talent.
What will you be looking for to see if Errol Spence Jr. is okay? When will you know will you know by the second, third round, or will the fight need to go, if it goes later, when will you know? How will you know if, okay, he's the same guy?
Just how the fight's gonna go, because there's different ways that he could fight the fight. He's usually, he likes to go after his guy, right, and apply his own pressure. He likes to do his own thing in there. So is Danny Garcia gonna allow that, or if he's able to stop it? We're gonna have to see. And then we're gonna have to see if he gets hit by a couple shots and how he reacts with these shots. And how does he look in the middle rounds? How does he look in the last couple rounds? Those different things. Is he listening to his corner? What information is his corner giving him? Is that the right information? So there's a lot of different factors in a fight.
Well, I want him to win because I want to see him and Bud Thurman fight. That's what everybody want to see. That's what you want to see, Lennox. That's what I want to see. That's the fight everybody wants to see.
Yep.
Yeah. Terrence Crawford?
Yeah, Terrence Crawford, Bud Crawford.
Yeah. Absolutely. Listen, another amazing fight. But, the little guys, the young guys, they're great, and they just want to go out there and perform, and we want to see great performances.
How about Lennox Lewis and Klitschko one more time? Like Tyson and Roy Jones, Klitschko, Lennox Lewis. You down?
I may be down.
Well, what about Tyson and Lennox again? No?
I mean, hold on. They say that fight did somewhere between 1.2 and 1.5 million buys, Lennox. That'd be a nice little come up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's nice.
Lennox, thank you so much for joining us today.
Get me back in the ring, I know it.
A little bit.
No mercy.
Welcome back to Undisputed. Well, renowned author and good friend of the show, Eric Dyson, joins us now. He's got a new book, long time coming, Reckoning with Race in America. But before we get into that, Skip, I know you're extra excited to have Michael on the show. Please tell us why.
I would like our viewers to know that Dr. Dyson and I are now family, because he has recently moved from Georgetown to my alma mater, where he belonged all along, Vanderbilt University. Thank you very much, Dr. Dyson, for being an esteemed professor at my school.
All for you, Skip. I am there as a Commodore. I'm hanging out. I got to go holler at Brother Stackhouse and see what's up. All my good people there at Vanderbilt, from the provost, Wente, to Dean Gear, to Tracy Sharpley Whiting, the chair of the department, and Emily Towns, the head of the divinity school. I'm just excited as I can be to be in.
Thank you. I am so proud to have you.
I don't know, Doc. Georgetown Vanderbilt.
Oh, stop it. Just stop
I'll tell
it.
you what, don't make me go Snoop Dogg on you.
So, Michael Eric Dyson, let us start by talking about your book, which I hold in my hand. Jenny just mentioned it. Long time coming.
Right.
Opening page is a tribute to one LeBron James.
Yes.
And you list his accolades, and then you thank him for standing with black people without excuse or apology, and for embracing people of all races around the world. Then you use a quote from LeBron about, I'll just read the first of it, black men, black women, black kids, we are terrified. You have no idea how that cop that day left his house. You don't know if he had an argument with his significant other, or maybe he just left his house today thinking that today is going to be the end of one of these black people. That's what it feels like. It hurts, said LeBron James. Could you please talk about his contribution off the court to everything you have written about in this book?
He's extraordinary. First of all, thank you all so much for having me as usual. LeBron James is unparalleled in this generation, and not since Muhammad Ali have we seen an athlete, a world-class athlete who also, according to the philosopher Hegel, a world historical figure, right, to get nerdy. The point is, this guy is at the height of his fame, the greatest basketball player in the world, in the conversation for GOAT, to be sure, and he has leveraged, while he is still famous, while he is still powerful, while he still has a platform, while everything commercially is at stake, while he has changed the game from within in terms of being able to determine what team you will go to and shifting the balance of power from the east to the west and the like. With all of that, he has also taken a stand to defend ordinary, everyday black people, Latinx people, people whose backs are against the wall, to speak up about racial injustice, to talk about the need to use their particular platform to withdraw their services, to withhold their labor, if necessary, in the aftermath of the shooting of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, to show the world that there is something even more important than sports, and that is the humanity that must be ceded to those who play the sport and to those who look like them if we are to have a genuinely just and real, I think, equal society. So LeBron James is extraordinary and pretty much unparalleled at this point.
Doc, when I look at the book and the way you have it formatted, like each chapter is a letter to the victims, like Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, Emmett Till. Why did you format the book like this?
Well, I wanted what they call an epistolary form, to write letters.
Okay.
I wanted to write letters to them, not about them. Writing about them, I can do that all day long, but to speak to them, even posthumously, both of you are men of faith. You understand the sense of the great cloud of witnesses that surround us, the ancestors to which I was speaking. I wanted to sit down and commune with them, to meditate upon the meaning of life, of death, of social struggle, of social strife, of trauma, of grief, and see if we couldn't, by thinking with them, talking to them, begin to work our way through the pain and the trauma we are left with and what their lives mean to us as a result of their martyrdom.
And by the way, could I add quickly, as a writer myself, this was a brilliant structure of open letters in this book. It is so creative. I read it all. I couldn't stop, because to write an open letter to George Floyd, to Breonna Taylor, to Eric Garner, on and on, it allows you a different voice, a different entry point to put it into perspective to them as a deceased victim of police brutality that we've talked about on this show. So I appreciate that, Doctor.
Thank you so very much.
So let's go bigger picture. Shannon and I have talked endlessly on this show about what we felt post-George Floyd was something of an awakening in this country, something of an enlightenment. Maybe some progress was being made. Now that we're a few months removed from that, are we still moving forward in your view?
Right. Now, that's a great question. Look, you have ups and downs, peaks and valleys, intense periods of commitment, and then a kind of retreat. we're seeing the subsiding of the intense passion about reckoning with racial injustice, about talking about systemic racism. For a while there, we talked about it every day. People made pledges. People took to social media to pledge their commitment to Black people. Corporate structures were being reinvestigated. People were being introspective and self-critical. Now, not so much, but that doesn't mean that we've lost the will to reconcile ourselves to a new reality. It means that the harder work begins. The unsexy work begins. It's real sexy to go on TV and to talk. It's real sexy to hit a street and protest. It's real sexy to tell the world through an amplified microphone what your intent is. Less sexy, but equally important, to withdraw, to retreat, and do the hard everyday work of re-examining our practices, our friendships, our relationships, what we do on the job, what we do at home, how much we devote ourselves to making sure that this world is better, regardless of the outcome of the election, whatever side you stood on. At the end of that election, are you willing to gather up your loins, so to speak, to gird up your loins and look at the reality of America and see what white supremacy, white nationalism, the hurt and pain of white bigotry, the hurt and pain of racism has done to us, and do the difficult work one-to-one, but also institutionally and systematically. Any word that ends in system has to be examined. Healthcare system, public education system, criminal justice system. So when we look at these words, systemic racism is about examining really the heart of the systems, the institutions, and the structures that continue to perpetuate a legacy of inequality.
Doc, although 80 million people said, you know what, the path that the country is on, we no longer want to be on that path. But 75 million people says, I'm perfectly fine with where it is in America. I'm a little heartbroken. I really am, Doc, because, you know, in a way, I'm glad. I hate 2020 happened because of COVID and so many people lost their lives and so many people lost their jobs. But I'm glad from 2016 to 2020 happened because it showed us that Black people are not, that we're not delusional, that it's not a figment of our imagination, and that racism is an isolated incident. That's a situation that happened over there or that happened over here. 75 million people said, you know what, we cool with it. We cool with what happened in Charlottesville. We cool with what happened in Kenosha. We cool with what happened in Minneapolis. Really, Doc? Are we really progressing? Are we really?
Yeah, that's it. You've put it powerfully and beautifully. Let me say this, though. You know when some people do a poll and they ask the question a certain way and you go, oh, heck no, heck no. And then they say, but no, I know you don't want to defund the police. That's you hear that and you go nuts. But do you want the police killing people? Well, no. Do you want, when the police are called for somebody who's mentally ill, to show up and then end up handcuffing and hurting them? Well, no. Do you want the color of a person's skin to determine the ability of the police to handle? Well, no. Do you want the police to be so resourced that they have such strong unions that no matter how we say sanely and rationally, can we look at some of the practices that are problematic and the police union goes, heck no, we won't do a thing, we won't budge at all? Are you with that? Well, no. Well, then you're for defunding the police the way people mean it. It's just that the words being used seem problematic to you. So the reality is this. I believe that the defunding of the police is critical. We've tried reforming. We've tried to do everything else but abolish the system as it exists now, to reinvent it in a way that is just. It doesn't mean public safety won't be taken care of. It doesn't mean that we won't attend to the needs of peoples in local communities to be protected by criminals. It means that we won't end up demonizing and criminalizing the people we are called to protect. Now, let me reply to what you just said. So 75 million people, when they were asked, hey, do you want to have your bottom line taken care of? Yes. Do you want the budget to really favor you in a serious way and doesn't hurt the future? Yes. Do you want the government to stay out of your offices and your jobs and allow you to do the right thing? Yes. So when you ask those 74 million people the question one way, they think Donald Trump is a savior. Why? He speaks directly. A lot of politicians bullcrap and lie and are mendacious too. Donald Trump was upfront about what he believed. So people like that. They like that bravura. They like that machismo. They like that tell it like it is John Wayne stuff. But the problem is it was backed up by, it was glass and it was smoke and mirrors. It was a bunch of, nothingness at the heart of what he was doing. So let's acknowledge that people were sold a bill of goods that they really didn't get delivered on. So what we have to do is to say to them, 80 million people saw that if you want America to be the best country it can be, you've got to be more open, not less open. You've got to embrace everybody and not just a few people. And what I think the president-elect and vice president-elect suggests to us is this. We are able to push them, to disagree with them, to suggest to them that there are things you're doing right and things you're doing wrong, and they're open-minded about it. The problem with the present president is a vicious indifference and intolerance to truth, justice, evidence, and anything that makes common sense to people. So we have to convince those other citizens that what you were being sold was a bill of goods that is not true democracy. And I'll say this, Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham are just as problematic as Donald Trump ever was. Donald Trump had no experience with politics. We knew he didn't know what the heck he was talking about. But these men in the Senate, an honorable institution that is filled with intelligent and wise people, they have abrogated their responsibility. They have abdicated the moral bully pulpit that they should occupy. And they have been complicit with a vicious, racist president who has been indifferent not only to black and brown people, but to poor white people and working class white people as well. They have been sold a bill of goods. Hopefully now we're on a different path. So yes, progress is possible, but we got to work on it every day.
So let's come full circle back to LeBron. Can you compare his contributions today to campaigning for racial justice to Muhammad Ali's back in the 60s and 70s?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think so. And here's what's interesting about LeBron. As great as Ali was forced into a position because they stripped his title from him. And when they stripped his title from him, he had no other recourse but to use every resource possible to get back in that ring and to challenge the vicious white supremacy that had snatched that from him in the first place and the narrow sense of patriotism that prevailed. LeBron James voluntarily took on this position without being forced to. LeBron James, as an organic matter of his racial conscience, began to stand with his people from the very beginning. Think about it. And my son, Michael Eric Dyson II, pointed this out to me yesterday. I can't take credit for this. He said, look at Kobe. Look at your three greats, Dad. He said, the three greatest to you are Kobe, Jordan, and LeBron. He said, Kobe and Jordan came from two-parent households where they had a legitimately powerful and strong father figure there. So what they did was remarkable on their own, but they had support. LeBron James grew up in a home without a stable father figure, often being left alone to fend for himself. And despite the extraordinary difficulties he confronted, he has risen to the top of his game. He is the greatest athlete in the world today, along with Serena Williams, and stands poised to take the title that brother Shannon Sharpe has been giving him from day one in regard to being the greatest of all time. I mean, when you put it all together, it's hard to say that LeBron ain't in that conversation in a serious way.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. Hey, I mean, when you put it all together, you put all these ingredients together and come out with that dish, you can't help but like it.
No mercy.
Tomorrow night, the fourth-ranked Wisconsin Badgers take on in-state rival Marquette at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, only on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Russell Westbrook, well, he is out in Houston. The Rockets traded the MVP to the Wizards, and they will get former All-Star John Wall and a future first-round pick in the deal. And now, just this morning, it's being reported that James Harden preferred teaming up with Wall instead of Westbrook. So, Shannon, what is your reaction to this latest report?
My reaction is I don't know if James Harden is going to be happy playing with anybody. Skip, you remember he wanted Dwight Howard, and then that didn't work. He wanted Chris Paul, then that didn't work. He wanted Russ, then that didn't work. Then at some point in time, the common denominator in Houston is the same player, but all the other players getting shipped out. I mean, Beard, you can't see that you might be part of the problem also? So, Skip, for me, when you look at these guys are so similar with everything. Speed is athleticism is a large part of their game. They shoot the same basically from the floor, from the three-point line. They're both injury prone. They're both coming, the contracts. So I don't know what Harden actually think he's getting because basically he's getting another, Russell Westbrook, another guy that has a high usage rate when James Harden is the usage king. So I don't really know what he's hoping by basically switching guys.
I don't either, but I believe this was about Russell Westbrook originally speaking out before any of this happened, saying, I want out. And he didn't go private with it. He went public with it. I need to go back to playing my game.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So once he did that, it's like your BFF has betrayed you publicly. So I'm not surprised that now James Harden is saying, well, I prefer John Wall over Russell Westbrook.
You don't think he had that conversation with James?
Who?
Russ.
I don't know. I'd like to think he did, but I don't know that.
Well, you might be right, because he might have chosen a different choice of words had he had that conversation, not say, well, I want to play my style of basketball. Just says, look, I just think it's just best that probably shouldn't have said anything, just keep it behind the scenes, not come out publicly and say it, and let Daryl Morey or whomever the GM now, well, Morey is gone, let them handle that, because it's not a good look. Now, that's my boy. We boys, Skip, and all of a sudden, I don't want to be.
Are they now?
I don't know.
Did the bridge get burned?
I don't know.
Is there trouble in paradise?
I didn't think it was going to work, Skip. And like you said, if you look at the numbers, Russ had 27, 8, and 8. James Harden was 30.
Russ really tried to sacrifice for James. And I thought it worked the best it could work, given that they were small ball, right? They had 6'5" as your center, right?
Right.
And they did beat your Lakers in game number 1, and that was the most impressive feat they pulled off all year. And then it looked like they were poised to at least make a series out of it, and they lost Daniel House to a COVID violation, to obviously quarantine violation. And then here they went south, and once it went south, then everybody blew up. Then they said, we got to go our separate ways.
But Skip, James has been there for what, 8, 9 years? And he got rid of Dwight Howard, and Clint Capella, and Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook.
But remember, Daryl Morey took out a full-page ad as he left town.
Well, he put Daryl Morey on the map.
Well, he did, but he said, you changed my life.
Yes, and he did. But Skip, changing his life, James Harden, that's fine, well and good. But I think James doesn't want to be one on that list of best players to never win a championship. James Harden wants to win a championship. And I don't think, and Kobe said it before his passing, he doesn't think that style can win a championship. Yeah, you put up tremendous numbers, and it's all good. And oh, my God, we've never seen anything like it. But to have one guy dominate the basketball that much, even Michael gave that up, Skip. As much as Michael wanted to dominate the ball, he gave it up because Phil convinced him that you can't win a championship like that. Kobe, once Shaq got away, Kobe was doing this thing with, putting up 81 and 60 and 3 quarters. But Phil said, we're not going to win a championship with you doing that. So now they get Powell. Now he's passed the ball. Kobe wins 2 more championships. Until James Harden understands you're going to have to give up the ball, you can't dominate it that much, he's going to be one of those guys, best players never to win a championship. Is it Karl Malone? Is it James Harden? Is it Charles Barkley? Is it Patrick Ewing? Elgin Baylor? He's going to be on that list, Skip.
You know and I know there's only one path to a championship for James Harden, and it's through Brooklyn right now. But if he could pull that off, he'd have a shot.
But Skip, he ain't gonna dominate the ball.
You'd have to completely sacrifice who
exactly.
you are.
But are you willing to do that, Skip?
I don't know. You better be.
No mercy.
How about this, though? All of the Ball brothers are now in the NBA, as LeVar predicted. LaMelo was the 3rd pick in the draft last month, and now middle brother LiAngelo has reportedly agreed to a 1-year non-guaranteed contract with the Pistons. So, Shannon, has LeVar received enough credit for all of this?
No, I don't think he has. And I think it has a lot to do with because people don't like him. Just like Richard Williams never got the credit that he deserved for Venus and Serena, Skip, because Richard didn't care. He'd tell you exactly the promoters or whomever it was. He'd tell you to get out his face, kiss his butt, and keep it moving.
But he didn't talk like LeVar talks.
No, he wasn't. No, he was just like there. But no, LeVar hadn't gotten the credit he deserves because people don't like him. He says he's brash and he says all these outlandish things. But in all those outlandish things that he said, he had 2 boys that were top 3 picks in the NBA draft, and his 3rd son just got an opportunity to make an NBA roster. So he and his wife, Tina, deserves a boatload of credit, which they haven't received appropriately.
I'm with you on this. You can take or leave LeVar. You can say he's a publicity hound. You can say he made himself the story above his 3 sons. He's an extraordinary human being. And if you look hard and analyze what he said even on this show many times, much that he decreed or predicted, it came true. to have 3 sons in NBA camps.
Right.
I don't know if LiAngelo, the middle son, will stick with Detroit.
Right.
I hope he does.
Right.
There's
But at
a
least he
chance.
got an opportunity. He
got
said
a
he wanted his
shot.
son to have an opportunity.
So right here, right now, 3 sons in NBA camps is impossibly great.
Right.
It's all-time great, and I congratulate not only LeVar, and thank you for bringing up Tina, too, because I think she had a big input in this.
But the thing is, Skip, like, people like Archie Manning. He don't say a whole lot, but people like him. And they give him credit. And you know, Peyton brought up his mom, said, well, if it wasn't for my mom, Olivia Manning, Tom Brady would have 11 rings because I stopped him 3 times and Eli beat him twice. So he'd have 11 Super Bowl rings. So Olivia doesn't get as mentioned as much.
Yep.
But we know Archie. We talk about Archie and what a wonderful job that he's done. And now we're talking about his grandson that's down at the school that Eli and Peyton went to. So I just think that we should give people their flowers while they're alive and not heap so much praise when and granted, the praise would be deserved, but give him his flowers now. They did an unbelievable job.
Agreed.
Regardless how you feel about him, it's impressive. You can't deny it. Good stuff today, guys, on Undisputed. Some great guests as well. We're back same time Friday. Have a good one.
Undisputed.